Shall we play a game?
Fight all you want, you old fool. You're merely delaying the inevitable.
Thank you for a very enjoyable game.
Welcome tonight to our third match of round 1, where our in-house team, Average Joes, will take on Team Megabyte. Starting off, our first match will feature TerrBear vs KillerBot on Roadrunner. Next will be CudleZerg vs Terminus on Benzene. The third match will be between CrossToss and tscmoo on Empire of the Sun. And finally, TerrBear vs Steamhammer on Mancha. If we get to the ace match, both players will be randomly selected from both teams and the map randomly selected as well. Now, on to the team intro. Team Megabyte is captained by Stardust and features a Terran and Zerg heavy lineup, but don't let that fool you. While outside of Stardust, each of these bots may not be considered the strongest contenders for their races. Each of them packs a variety of builds that really can create some advantages for these bots if players don't respond to them correctly. And although not selected to play tonight by the RNG gods, Stardust currently is not only the highest ranked ProToss bot, but also the highest ranked bot overall on the schnail ladder as of November 19, 2023. How will the Average Joes fare against these tricky opponents? Time to find out now. And starting the matches off here on Roadrunner, we have TerrBear spawning in roughly the 9 o'clock, and KillerBot spawning in roughly the 11 o'clock. First debut for KillerBot in this league, so we'll have to see what kind of build they choose to use. TerrBear, of course, has played plenty of TVZs despite there only being 3 matches in an event match. He's actually already played roughly 4 games of TVZ and is currently 3-1 in his record. We'll have to see if he can continue that or maybe takes another loss tonight. And we do have KillerBot's Overlord heading in the current right direction, checking on for any weird proxies maybe, and then heading on down into that main base. TerrBear, though, just progressing as normal, getting all of his SCVs made. We'll probably make a depot here soon. And we do have an Overlord coming out of KillerBot. And in fact, possibly maybe some sort of proxy hatchery or something. Or maybe just a scout. You know, you never know with these bots. They like to play really crazy. And TerrBear getting that depot created. KillerBot sending that drone, looks like, to a different location than the Overlord. Really wants to find out where that player's starting location is. We do look like have a 12 hatch coming out for KillerBot. And a Rax coming out for TerrBear. Overlord finally scouting out the main base. Gonna definitely get a fine look at everything. And the drone going across spawns, checking that location. TerrBear finally sending out his own scout. Barracks 75% of the way done. Even got his gas. We'll have to see what he wants to do with that. KillerBot, though, we'll probably want to get this Overlord out of there soon, as I can imagine TerrBear looking at that as a prime juicy target to kill with his Marines. And we do have the natural hatchery halfway done for KillerBot. Pool halfway finished as well, adding on a gas. And the Marine is finished. And the Overlord is still in the main base, taking damage, has nowhere to even run to. In fact, even stopped moving there for a second, potentially deciding that it's going to give up. The drone, meanwhile, coming in to take a look at, hopefully scout things out once the Overlord is killed off. TerrBear, though, seemingly not adding anything else just yet. Scouting out his component completely, adding on a sunken here at the natural. Is going to finally take down that Overlord. However, KillerBot has remade the Overlord in time and prevented a supply block. The SCVs kind of body blocking that drone in, however, is finally able to escape. And the Marines chasing after that drone, trying to take it down. And we do have an academy started in the corner here with 2 SCVs ominously out here in the front. Did KillerBot be able to see that? He did not see the academy starting. And now that that drone has been chased out, TerrBear throwing down 2 more barracks. Meanwhile, we have the lair almost finished for KillerBot. No Zerglings, however, is adding a sunken or potentially spore in his main. And TerrBear just pumping Marines. We'll have to see what tech KillerBot wants to take. Is throwing down a Spire, going for the 2 hatchery Spire play. We'll have to see how TerrBear responds to this. Will he be able to smash that defense before the mutas come out? Is researching stim packs now. And SCV is making depots and Marines coming out of barracks left and right. However, we still see no more Sunkens added at the natural for KillerBot. KillerBot could be in a very big surprise when he sees this Bioforce march across the... In fact, TerrBear even taking a poke in at the front here to see what the defense situation looks like. Still only seeing that 1 main and the mutas finally. Has made 2 medics. Has 2 more medics and a Marine started. Currently has about 6 Marines. I mean, if he's going to go, I imagine he's going to have to go soon, as this Spire is just moments away from finishing. And KillerBot has banked enough gas to be able to afford a nice flock of mutas. In fact, TerrBear, sensing that now may be the time, has decided to move out with his 6 Marines and 2 medic force, with the Marine and 2 medics follow up behind. And with the Spire finished, KillerBot has 3 mutas currently in production. Is supply blocked, however. And that Overlord finally finishes, putting in 2 more mutas. However, TerrBear's units finally coming in. That Marine, unfortunately, overextending just a tiny bit and immediately annihilated by that Sunken. However, these others moving in as pairs. And we do have 2 Firebats and another Marine moving up. We do have a flock of mutas. Small flock. Just hatched. Few more hatching as well. Has about 6 in total. Is deciding that maybe he wants to strike at the main. However, TerrBear is destroying this natural, supply blocking him again. KillerBot deciding that he needs to bring these muta back to help defend. Is going to try to pick things off. However, TerrBear seemingly has this Bioforce pretty well balled up. Only able to take out Marines on the periphery. And is sending a Firebat into the main. However, immediately taken out by that Sunken. KillerBot trying to remake the Spire. However, losing mutas left and right. If he's able to micro really well in this next instant. However, more Marines coming up. Not able to take out the Marines, it looks like. 4 mutas are dancing around. Ooh, this 1 muta. Just 1 more hit and it will die. And these Marines able to push those mutas back and link up with the main force. TerrBear, though, has no follow-up behind this. So if KillerBot is able to keep these Bioforces from taking out his main, may be able to come back into this game with his Mutaflock. And that Spire almost finished, but TerrBear starting to make his way into the main. Does have the Sunken here, however, that should fall very soon. And these mutas just dancing around this Bioforce, too afraid to engage. TerrBear immediately deciding to take out that second Spire. And KillerBot throwing down more Sunken colonies. However, will be killed before they can be even morphed. Having to remake the layer again to even try to remake a Spire. And does have a few Firebats in the mineral line. However, KillerBot finally deciding to kill that off to protect his drones. And KillerBot, an emergency situation here. Throwing down every creep colony that he can to try to morph these into Sunkens. However, TerrBear immediately reinforcing with more Marines and killing off this pool and the Sunkens as they're morphing. I gotta admit, KillerBot's in a lot of trouble. Is trying to strike back with this mutas here into the main base. However, losing all of his drones. Oh, and with that, KillerBot GG's. And with a 3 barracks rush, TerrBear is able to neutralize KillerBot before his 2-hatch mutant can kick in, putting the Joes up 1-0 in the series. It's time for Game 2, starting now. And starting the match off on Benzene, we have Terminus in the top right, CudleZerg in the bottom left, and I barely get a chance to introduce the players before we see Terminus sending out an SCV. I mean, at this point, you gotta imagine it's for a proxy. However, is it a proxy barracks or a proxy factory? We'll find out. Meanwhile, CudleZerg just opting for so far a standard opening. No 5 pools, 6 or 7 pools, it looks like. Let's see what Terminus wants to do, where he wants to put it, but I do not see good things in store for our average Joe's Zerg player. Is that possibly just an early scout, or... I mean, it couldn't be, right? Because he's not making SEVs at home. And he just proxies the barracks right at the bottom of the ramp. Well, that's one way to do it for sure. Overlord flying through the center to check for proxies. However, unfortunately, CudleZerg has no idea that there is a proxy actually right in his natural, and actually deciding to go for an overpool opening instead of a hatchery first. We'll have to see if this plays out well for CudleZerg, or if Terminus is able to push his advantage with a proxy. Is opting to make drones, however, immediately after this. And Terminus adding a few more SCVs and a depot. And CudleZerg scouting the proxy right as it finishes. Marine is done. And actually, he hasn't responded at all. Has he actually seen the proxy? Sending a drone out now. And oh my goodness, he has. He has seen the proxy. Throwing the Overlord right on top of that barracks. Hopefully maybe trying to run the Overlord away. Throwing down 2 creep colonies in his main. And a 3rd creep colony. Does have some Zerglings hatching. However, looks like he will lose this Overlord. Immediately restarting it and morphing these creep colonies into Sunkens. The Marines, though, are able to push forward, meeting these Zerglings that he's just created, though. Deciding to opt back and back up, reinforce. The Zerglings pushing the Marines all the way back to the proxy barracks, however, deciding they don't want any more either. And how will CudleZerg follow this up? He has successfully defended so far against the rush, maybe overcommitting with the sunken colonies. However, he's currently locked in his main base. Deciding to add on the gas, it looks like. A little weird drone bug that happened there. And hatching more drones even, saying we don't even need Zerglings right now. We're good with Sunkens. However, Terminus just non-stop producing Marines from the proxy barracks and adding a factory that CudleZerg is able to scout with his Overlord in the main. And Terminus able to see the backside of the tech side, or a backside of the main base with his SEV. CudleZerg actually deciding to hatch a few more Zerglings, maybe feeling a little uncertain what he can do here. And that factory is almost finished. I gotta imagine a vulture is gonna be coming out of that factory. And CudleZerg deciding to add another hatchery in the main. Now that he started to gather his gas, I wonder what kind of, in the factory here, we'll find out right now. Well, he's going for a Hydralisk den. Terminus does see this, it looks like. Or no, he doesn't. No, he does. He does see it. Okay, yeah, he does see it. And now the Marines still just tailing at the top of the ramp. Terminus deciding that he's done making Marines now and lifting off that barracks with a vulture on the way. I imagine once the two link up, they'll attempt to attack this sunken force, and lean force, but I don't think they're going to be able to break it. Meanwhile, CudleZerg going all in on the Hydra technology, researching Hydra speed. Adding a second factory now. Does have his machine shop researching siege mode. However, still only producing vultures out of that factory. Also has an armory on the way. And Terminus doing a quick little poke with just the Marines, immediately pushed back. However, can't decide if he wants to commit now that the vulture has linked up. And the barracks doing its best to try to scout out all the positions of the Zerg. And we do have Hydra production started for CudleZerg now. We'll have to see, will he get range after this? I imagine he will. But, who knows? And Terminus, adding on an expansion, feeling very confident that he will be able to keep this Zerg contained on the one base. And now we have a tank coming out of the factory, and siege mode has been finished. Going to probably attempt to siege down these Sunkens so his Marine Vulture Force can do their job. However, CudleZerg pushing back the Marines and the Vultures currently with the Hydra Link Force. Has started range as well. In fact, targeting this barracks just a little bit. Pushing forward even more now. Some weird pause. Possibly macroing or something. And he is really focusing down this barracks, and Terminus may actually be in a bit of trouble because if he loses this, he will not be able to add any factories until it is be remade. And in fact, realizing this, sending his units in to try to protect it, sieging his tanks up even, and even sending an SCV out to try to repair it. However, CudleZerg backing up and linking up with his new Hydralisk reinforcements and then pushing forward, immediately going to snipe that tank, killing all the Marines, and now there's only Vultures left, which do horrible against Hydras without any mines. And in fact, going to try to get this SCV repair, only just barely missing it. Terminus in a heap of trouble, stuck on 2 factories, preparing turrets, starting his barracks again so that he can make more factories. However, these Hydras being made and pushed immediately across the map. And Terminus still has no mines for his Vultures. Is floating the engineering bay. CudleZerg deciding, hey, you know, blow that up as well as we wait for some reinforcements to gather up. But Terminus, so far, 2 Vultures, Goliath, and nothing else. Does have a few more Goliaths that will pop out soon out of the factory. However, they do not do good against Hydras, and currently, CudleZerg has more Hydras than Terminus has even just units combined all together in his army. CudleZerg opting not to really harass the natural that much, instead going right into the main base, probably trying to get right on top of the production. Able to snipe these 2 Goliaths. And in fact, now that that barracks is finished, Terminus adding 2 more factory, a factory, a starport, and the engineering bay again. However, this tank will immediately be sniped as soon as it comes out, and CudleZerg leaving some of his reinforcements in the natural. Terminus, unfortunately, in a very big, bad situation. Losing his first factory and now his second factory, has no units to defend. Is adding on another factory here. However, with all of his production facilities still being produced, and this barracks being the only thing completed, he has no ability to get any combat units out onto the field currently. Meanwhile, even if it's only on 1 base with 2 hatcheries, CudleZerg is able to produce Hydras non-stop. And CudleZerg, even finding all of this production up here as it's being created, doing his best to shut it down before it's even finished. Terminus even about to lose the natural, focusing firing on the command center. And CudleZerg killing off that Vulture and then focusing down the factory that's completed. Terminus in a heck of a lot of trouble. Now his supply depots and SCVs are starting to fall. With this, we gotta say, Terminus is probably looking like he will have to GG soon. Unfortunately, just losing everything and anything these Hydras touch. SEVs, depots, turrets, production facilities, upgrade facilities, technology, doesn't matter. CudleZerg just rolling over all of it. And Terminus still doing the best he can last minute to try to take up any sort of production facility that he might be able to get up. And CudleZerg completely eliminating Terminus, not wanting to GG. But with that, that's the end of the game. And the Average Joes continue their streak tonight, with CudleZerg defending against Terminus's proxy, then counter-pushing to victory with Hydras, earning the Joes another point. Will CrossToss be able to secure the third point for the win, or will tscmoo pull Team Megabyte back into the match? Time to find out now. And starting the game off here on Empire of the Sun, we have tscmoo for Team Megabyte up in the top right, and CrossToss for the Average Joes in the bottom right. Unfortunately, those last two games, pretty quick games, ending very quickly and decisively. We'll have to hope this game maybe goes on a bit longer. However, both teams seem very content with cheesing each other. So far though, this game does not seem to be any sort of cheese indication, at least early game. No SUVs going out early, no weird proxies or anything like that. So far, both players just playing pretty standard. Probably see a pylon out of CrossToss here soon, and then of course Depot out of tscmoo soon. In fact, seeing that pylon now. And tscmoo throwing down that Depot now. So unfortunately, it is game deciding match, so hopefully both players realize, though as an AI, who can know, how important this match will be towards the results. tscmoo has a chance to keep his team back in the game, however, CrossToss has a chance to just seal the match out right here. And tscmoo adding his barracks down, and CrossToss of course starting his gas and gateway. tscmoo as well about to start his gas. Unfortunately, CrossToss, though, will not scout tscmoo on the first try. However, it looks like tscmoo may scout CrossToss on the first try. tscmoo checking for any proxies in the main. We do have the core started for CrossToss. Checking in the natural as well. And oddly, tscmoo deciding not to wall off for some reason. We'll have to see if that ends up being a big problem for him, especially on a map with no ramp. However, has started his factory. And CrossToss starting a gateway, starting his range, and finally scouting tscmoo. Seeing that there is no bunker or wall or really anything to keep all the Protoss units from just waltzing into the main. We'll have to see if he decides to take advantage of that at all or does something else. And tscmoo adding a second factory now. Blocking the machine shop, however, on the first. And that first goon heading up, deciding that it wants to poke in. And tscmoo having to fly that factory. Adding a third factory even now. And adding the machine shop. And CrossToss does have a goon in the main, immediately pummeling down this Marine. Some SCVs are going to come out to rush and try and help him out, but unfortunately not making it in time. Will now decide to try to repair themselves. And deciding instead to continue the attack on the goon. And CrossToss allowing that hull damage to start to accumulate, however starting to micro the goon back now. Does have a second goon coming up. Still only one gate and adding a robotics facility. 2 goons and a probe in the main. Starting to work on the factory. And that tank is about to pop out. We'll have to see if he's able to push these goons back. Third goon deciding to move up. And immediately, these goons on top of that tank. Taking it out. However, has almost lost one of these goons, immediately pulling them back now that the vultures and SCVs have decided to attack. And CrossToss doing the best he can to focus fire this vulture down. Starting now to work on the SCVs. Does take 4 goons, 2 volleys to kill SCVs. So in this case, with 3 goons now, it would take roughly 3 volleys. And tscmoo, researching mines and speed, however, cannot afford any units. And CrossToss, completely dismantling his SCVs. Has added on a robotic support facility, or a support bay. And making a Reaver out of the robotics facility. And CrossToss just constantly poking in and killing these SCVs. And now that there's a 4th goon here, all he has to take is 2 volleys to kill 1 SCV. tscmoo in a heap of trouble. Does finally afford a tank. However, down to 16 SCVs. In a not a very good situation. And CrossToss now has a Reaver and a second gateway finished. Is going to push his advantage with these goons. Going to work on the depots, the production facilities, and the SCVs. Is also finally adding his own natural nexus, it looks like. Flying the Reaver up as well. Is able to take out 1 factory, starting on the 2nd now. And dropping the Reaver. Gets 1 kill, 2 kills. 5 kills. Kills basically the whole mineral line and finally kills off all the production facilities. 2 SCVs trying to run away. However, tscmoo doesn't even have enough minerals for an extractor or anything, so not quite sure what they plan on doing. And a tank comes out, however, 5 goons here will immediately annihilate that. And tscmoo, with nothing left, is possibly mulling over his options and has decided to GG. CrossToss catching tscmoo with their virtual pants down before their 3 factory push can materialize seals the match for Average Joe's 3-0. Thank you for tuning in tonight, and we hope you'll join us for the last match of Round 1, Thursday, November 23rd, when the Average Joes take on Team HAL 9000. Have a good night.